and welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. This is Joshua Taylor. I am here with our co-host Jacob Rush and Ryan Black. This is episode 160. We are back and we are playing with power. How are you all doing today?
We're doing great, man.
Hanging in there.
Yeah, it's been a week. The weather has been about as crazy as our emotions.
Yeah.
It's currently like 14 degrees out, and it was like 60 a couple days ago. It felt like, I mean, it was more 50, but still, like, what's going on?
West Virginia is not much better right now. This is not my type of weather, but we're going to make it through it.
Yep.
All right. Well, today we are talking about one of my old favorites, and I think several of our old favorites, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the Nintendo GameCube. However, we'll go ahead and do our usual and start with what we are Radical Rexing about. Ryan, would you care to start us off today?
Sure, man. So I am excited about the failings of another. So it sounds so weird. So I'm really excited that Google Stadia hasn't been doing so great. Google Stadia took away our ability to use Google Hangouts and record the show. And ever since then, we've been using Skype, and we've been having a heck of a time trying to get this whole like in-depth, play through Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and everything to work right on Skype. So like, I'm glad to see that Stadia is having so much trouble right now because they took away our main ways of recording.
What's going on with Stadia? I haven't checked in with that at all.
No.
So they're sucking right now?
It's just one folly after another. PSVG does their Stadia show, and they're thinking about dropping the show. At least Donnie's out now because like they've done too much stuff that's just they're not going to go anywhere. Honestly, you got to pay for the service and then pay for the games, and
good.
And you can't do all the things that they promised, and it's just a far cry from what they had initially said, and I'm sure they'll get things up and running. But I'm really hoping that we at least get our Hangouts back from this. But aside from that, like as far as video games go, like aside from like I've never played Stadia, so I can't really judge it. But I've been playing a lot of Pokemon still. That's pretty much what I've been doing. Duel Links and Pokemon Shield has been my big turn twos. I spent a little bit of money on Duel Links and got some cards and stuff. So starting to put that away and just keep focused on Pokemon again. I'm trying to catch all the Pokemon. I've got 320 some, so I'm getting there. Slowly but surely, I'm in the process of breeding right now. So it's been fun. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to Radical Rex about. Good health, running vehicle, and just looking forward. Doing the tax season stuff, getting all those things together. I submitted my taxes and then realized I forgot like a major, like important part. So I have to wait for the IRS to reject my tax return and then go in and edit all that fun stuff. So, luckily I got started early, so I have time.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of a boring time of the year for me usually, so I kind of get it. Well, if that is all you got. On a side note, actually, with Stadia, I think the only good thing I can say about it from my personal experience is they had a pretty sick slide at Gamescom. It was pretty awesome, but that was about all they had going for them. Yeah. But anyway, well, Jacob, do you have anything that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, when I went home today, actually, I had a package in the mail as a late Christmas gift, and I got it, unwrapped it, and I ended up getting my Banjo-Kazooie mug for Christmas.
Awesome.
You see that?
Nice.
I've always wanted a Banjo-Kazooie coffee mug, and I got a Banjo-Kazooie t-shirt.
Ooh, I like
really
that.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I'm Radical Rexing about. That's about it. Everything else in life sucks. Besides, I mean, I love my kids. My kids are great, and I have a lot of good friends and spiritual leaders and guidance and stuff, so they're all great too. So not everything sucks, just one in particular thing that you all know about. So besides that, though, that's what I've been Radical Rexing about.
I gotcha. Well, as for me from a gaming side of it, because honestly, there's not a whole lot else going on at the moment. Excuse me. I've been playing way too much of pretty much everything I can get my hands on. If there's not a new release, I kind of don't know what to do with myself. And I'm like, hey, it's time to replay this Then I'm like, I've played through that 4 times. Why not start something new too? But then I don't stop the thing I started replaying. So I'm playing like 5 games at once with like The Witcher 3, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, for the, I don't know, 18th time. I don't know why I did that. Crash Team Racing, because there's always something going on there. Pokemon. So, long story short, I've got plenty to play right now, and I don't need a new release. So, well, I kind of do. Maybe it would get me focused on one thing, but
or you can just stop playing games and focus on like life.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah. But this is a Nintendo podcast, so I have to, put all my energy into the game side of it right now. Yeah, I probably could use a little bit of a break here and there. But anyhow, that is about it right now. Like I said, this is usually kind of a boring time of the year. So we won't waste too much time, if you are all right with that, and jump on into the topic.
So Josh, you've got a lot to say about this game. I think we all do, really. This is like prime childhood for like me and Jacob for sure. I don't know where you were at this time or when you played it. Now this is the GameCube version primarily that we're speaking of, because I don't think Jacob or I ever went back and played the Dreamcast version. And this is a Nintendo podcast, so that's what it is.
Right. Well, it was released December 20th, 2001. Is that accurate for the GameCube? Yep.
That was in Japan, actually, I think.
Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. In North America, it was February the 11th, 2002.
Well, Sonic. I can start us off. For me, this game was actually really, really important to me to get. I thought it was so cool because I just got my GameCube, and I originally got Smash Bros. Melee I got my GameCube at my launch, not launch. And the next set of games I ended up getting were Luigi's Mansion and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Right when Ryan showed me all about trading in games, so I was trading in all my old games like a fool. Did not know what I was doing, but all I knew was getting me new games. So I ended up getting a used copy of Luigi's Mansion and a used copy of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle right before school was starting in like the 6th grade. And man, I was excited because, you guys know, or the 90s, that Sonic was a Nintendo enemy. And I knew who Sonic was, but never had Sega. Really didn't. None of my friends had Sega. So to me, the fact that Sonic was on a Nintendo for like the first time felt really awesome. I was so excited to be like, okay, this is my first take at Sonic, and got this game, and I fell in love with it. And I'll tell you why I fell in love with the most more than anything was, one, the 3D world of Sonic and being able to run around like that, feeling like a 3D platformer for this guy, because I did have a little bit of thing with Sonic in the past, and that was at my dentist office. They would have Sonic like in the waiting room or after you were done. Yeah, so that was my only really playing of Sonic. So this was really cool to me to be able to have this game and to play this. But then at the same time, I was also had been falling in love with punk rock music, and the music in this game is very punk rock, the majority of it, and it just drew me in right away. So it like combined it it combined the two things I loved most in life at this time, which was pop punk rock music, and 3D platforming. So I thought that was sweet. Yeah, so that's kind of my initial thoughts of the game. What about you guys? Did you guys get this game right at launch, or was it something you got introduced to a little later down the road, or are you a Dreamcaster originally?
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in there. No, I'm mostly, up to this point, I still mostly just had Nintendo consoles. Gosh, I'm trying to make a long story short, but with this one, I believe I got it shortly after launch. I remember getting like the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Nintendo Power copy and all of that. I've still got that like in plastic upstairs. But I remember going to Toys R Us in particularly around that time, and my sister and I would go and just play the 2-player on that like crazy. And eventually we talked my mom into getting it, and that's probably the game I put the most hours on the GameCube, and it's got to be up there of like all my most played games of all time. Between me, my sister, cousin of mine, a couple friends, like everybody I knew was into it. And a big part of it was the Chow Garden, which still hasn't made a return, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, we put way too much time into that. I even eventually got, I don't know if you've ever heard of like the Ultimate Light versions of them. Like they had to like reincarnate, so to speak, like 2 or 3 times, and they had to have one of each animal. It was really hard to do, but we put a lot of time into that thing. And like Jacob was mentioning the music, maybe we'll mention that more later, but darn, I had heard nothing like this in a game up to that point. And I mean, to this day, maybe a lot of it's nostalgia, but I'll still like occasionally listen to a song from it. I don't know if I don't know how to describe it really, because I don't know if it's really that great. Maybe it was just the time period. This came out in like a, not to get too much into details, but a particularly hard time in my childhood, like shortly after. So this thing really helped me get through. But yeah, it still means a lot to me to this day. It's just one of those special ones to me.
My early memories of it, I don't know. I get hints of playing it with my friend John Hester, and I remember him being big. We were kind of playing it at the same time, and he was big on like looking stuff up online and figuring out how to do the Chow Garden stuff. So he always had like the perfect forms or whatever. I think I was able to get the light one and the dark one, but I never did get the neutral. And it's funny. I would refuse to call them chows. Like absolutely would refuse to. I'd always call them KOs. It's just I would not pronounce them otherwise. Like I would adamantly fight John Hester on the pronunciation.
I think we did it first too.
Just would not allow it. But man, the game, like just that's kind of like a mini side game stuff, like the Chow races and things. Like that's a whole other conversation, like connecting with the Game Boy Advance and what have you. But the game itself, like first thing and foremost, this music track is like the biggest like thing that really drew you into the game. Like I can't imagine like running through like on regular Sonic music playing this game. It just I don't know how it would work, honestly. But they packed a lot into this game. It was a port from the Dreamcast, but they added like multiplayer. I don't think they had any multiplayer version stuff on the original game. I don't believe
they did. They did
have
but
something?
It's like I played it on the Dreamcast, on the GameCube, and the Xbox. And the original Dreamcast one did have multiplayer, but it was a little more limited.
Okay.
I can't remember in all what ways. It's been so long since I've played the Dreamcast version, but yeah, Battle definitely added to that.
I mean, it's such a fun game, albeit it's not without its glitches. Falling through the stage was a common occurrence, but it was a lot of fun. They did a lot of voice acting stuff to it. I love the detail they put in that. And just you felt the emotion behind a lot of the characters. You felt that Amy was annoying. You felt that Shadow was aloof and kind of a bit of a rebel in a lot of ways, but someone to like, anti-hero in a ways. Um, you could just the sounds that they make. I think probably my favorite sound of the whole game is when Dr. Robotnik is holding a chow and shakes the chow. He's like,
Crucial. Oh, no, he pets it. It's like, yo, yeah.
Yes. Love that sound.
I don't know why he does that, but that's pretty much it.
The idea of the villain like being this like soft-hearted, taking care of chow guy. It's so weird.
It's a little uncomfortable. Yeah.
Oh, but a lot of like intertwining stories. You could play as different characters, and it was really cool to see things from different sides, light side, dark side, and there's like even the endings had different branches and stuff that you could do with that. Man, gotta tell you, like opening song, like not necessarily the title screen, but like the opening song, that whistle and starting to run around in the city, that's just enough to get you pumped. Yeah, that whistle and just like, oh yeah,
fantastic. Fantastic.
And you felt so powerful just running down the streets, like blowing cars out of your way.
Felt like a beast, dude.
It was nonsense, and I love it.
You feel so powerful in that.
It was really cool. Was there any parts of the game that you disliked? I honestly felt like that every time I had to be Knuckles and fly around, I hated that stuff.
Ooh, I loved that. That's probably one of my favorites. It wasn't fast, but I
hear that
little hunt for things.
Yeah.
It was slow, and I think it was the music. It kind of like would get like rap music would play, and I did not think it was good.
The music was kind of lame. I like it now, but at the time I thought it was awful. Like I was like, oh, this is so slow and boring. I feel like falling asleep. Listen to this.
It's the polar opposite of what Sonic has always been, especially throughout that game where it had been fast, punk rock, let's go stuff.
And the levels are cool too. Like I love the Halloween, like flying around on giant pumpkins on
Pumpkin Hill. Yeah.
Pumpkins, wow.
Yeah, it was quite fun looking for things. It was a big scavenger hunt, and it was fun to play despite its music being a little
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it has been very, very long. I don't remember this game as a whole. I don't. I just remember key things, especially like the beginning, the robot fight and Shadow.
I think the things that I didn't like, one of the things that I didn't like playing as Tails or Dr. Robotnik, just in the mech suits. They just felt weird to me. And once I figured out they had like a lock-on feature, you could shoot multiple things. Like it got better, but their movement and jump was just weird for me.
Right.
See, I remember when I first started playing, I didn't realize they shot out like a little missile, like straight forward, so much as I did the lock-on feature. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know why that's how I played it, but I've always heard people not like especially with the Sonic Adventure titles, being able to, or having to play as like 6 different people, but I always liked that about it. Like when people complain about it, and now like in recent years, I might be the only one that kind of plays Sonic games still, but but they just focus on Sonic, and I feel like it takes so much away from it. I think this is like the last one that really felt good too, like in a physics sort of way. Like after that, everything got really floaty, and like it just tries to pull you forward. Yeah. And focus so hard on a boost mechanic that you can't even like tell where you're going. I just feel like a lot was lost after this one.
Uh-huh. I can get behind the secret ring or whatever, where he was like the genie or tied to the genie or whatever. Like he had to run or he'd die. Like the speed Sonic's speed, but the characters, like even they did a little bit of character stuff in Sonic Advance, which was connectable, or was it 2?
Oh yeah.
One of the ones was connectable to
all 3
Sonic
of them
Adventure 2 Battle. But so you got some of those characters like Cream and Cheese, and is that right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Cream the rabbit and Cheese her chow with a little bow tie. You're right.
All right.
And then was Blaze a part of it?
She was in Rush, and that was after. Rush, that was on DS.
Okay. So, and like they weren't afraid to take Sonic in new directions. This was a very experimental time. Like a little bit after that, we had like Sonic Chronicles, the RPG, which is weird having like a fast-paced game, and then like throwing you into like an RPG, turn-based RPG. But I liked that what came out of this like big Adventure 2 thing. Like, not to ignore the first one. The first one was fun. We got it
Honestly,
later.
I didn't know there was a first one. That's how tells you how little. I mean, I know now.
Yeah,
But back
DX was what it was called when it came out after the second one came out. They eventually
okay.
ported that to the GameCube.
I
It was
didn't realize
DX and it
that.
had Big the Cat and the Chaos Emerald and
I remember
Chaos.
DX, but I didn't know that was the game that actually came before Adventure 2.
Yeah.
Yep. That was
Alright,
the prequel in that way.
Are the games connected? Or do they actually connect?
For the
Yeah, I think it's loosely.
It is. It's
But-
not like you don't have to play 1 to play 2. Like, I played all the way through Adventure 2 Battle and then got so into it. And Advance, that's a whole other story. I love Sonic Advance too. But it's I went back and got the Dreamcast before they announced the DX version coming to GameCube. And yeah, I mean, they kind of connect a couple small dots, I guess, but it's nothing major. Like, they feel different. They play differently.
I mean, on principle, like the Chows are a direct, port from the first one. They were related to the Chaos Emeralds and everything. So
Yeah, they were in the story actually in the first one.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So I think the only Chow that was involved in the second one was the Oma Chow, the robot.
Oma Chow.
Yeah,
that
and
thing
he
was
was
so
fun to-
annoying.
You could pick him up and throw him off cliffs and into bad
Yeah.
I
guys and
remember
stuff.
Yeah, he was so annoying.
Well, what was your favorite? If you could think of anything, what was your favorite part about the game?
Do you have something, Ryan? Because that's going to take me some
I
thought.
don't know, like, as far as mechanic goes, grinding around on rails was just the best.
That was cool. It's got
Like,
Tony Hawk.
you felt so powerful doing that too. Like,
Oh yeah.
the feelings you got from that, the rush. The whole game is a rush, it really is.
Yeah.
And of course, like, you can't like not point out the final battle and how epic that is.
For sure.
Oh my goodness, that is so good. Like, I can't even describe. Like,
I'll roll into that.
it's
That was-
frustrating, and we'll get to that. I'll get
was-
to that when we cover that section. But yeah,
that
that's
was
probably
my
one of my
favorite part
favorites.
of the game. Was the ending.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool because at this time too, I'm like super into Dragon Ball Z.
Mhm.
I mean, and he goes Super Saiyan. I mean that.
Yeah.
So punk rock, fast paced, 3D platforming, Super Saiyans. Like I was floored. I was like, this is awesome, and the way you just
Mhm.
beat the crap out of that. Was it like a giant lizard or something?
Yeah, the bio
Essentially,
lizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
the prototype to what Shadow is, the ultimate life form. I know way too much about this, but I don't know how he's the
I would tell
prototype.
you,
Hedgehog.
he's the ultimate. He's supposed to be the ultimate life, which is what Shadow is.
Yeah, he's the prototype to Shadow, apparently.
Failed
which-
experiment, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so they try to make a giant lizard from Zelda in space. King Dodongo, basically.
Well, and to think that the ultimate life form is a hedgehog is a little weird, and it looks like Sonic. Like, that's kind of stretching, but
Right.
but if you kind of suspend that, it's pretty cool. Like,
You just let yourself believe it. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I don't still believe he's the ultimate life form, but yeah, he has some time control powers, a little better than Sonic does probably, but other than that, like, yeah, he's just another Sonic character. Now, as far as favorite parts, Josh, what's your favorite? Like,
My favorite aspect of it all. I don't know if this really counts. This is kind of a wide range, but I honestly just like the variety of the different styles, like the action stages, the Sonic and Shadow ones, and then the shooting ones with Tails and Eggman, and the treasure hunting ones with Knuckles and Rouge. Like, I felt like they all played fine, and it gave me a good change of pace. It lets you know the different characters, and it even has like their own music depending on what character you are. It plays more off their personality. Like, each track will kind of play off their theme, so to speak, if it's their level.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it was really cool that you could play as the villains as well.
Yeah.
Like that. Now that you mentioned that, I completely forgot that. Yeah, you went back and forth. You would do something as a villain do a mission, and then you do something as a hero. And
you
I
see
thought
the
that-
other side of the story.
Right, that's a really cool dynamic.
Yeah, you could see, you could pick the story. You can go back and forth at any time, but you could pick hero or dark, 3 on each side, and then you beat the 2 of them, and you get the last story.
That's
and
cool.
then they all
Now-
come together, and it's the real ending, so to speak.
The only
Right.
thing we really get that consistently these days is Fire Emblem, like different
Oh,
sides of the story,
geez,
and
shut up.
very very lightly Pokemon. But
we've had enough Fire Emblem this week, Ryan. We don't need any more.
He's picking a scab right now. We're not talking about Smash
I-
Brothers
yeah,
here.
that's right.
Anyway.
We don't even acknowledge that.
but yeah, so it's really cool to have those intertwining stories, and to see like the full tapestry woven together once you're done.
Right.
Because a lot of times like things are like, what, this makes no
Totally.
sense, but then you play through the other side, like, oh, that's what happened there,
Right. No, yeah, really cool.
As far as characters go, who are some of your favorites? I know it's hard to pick like one specific favorite, but like who did you enjoy playing as, light or dark?
I guess I'll go first on that. I don't know what it was, but like since I was a kid, I usually always pick, if I get the choice with something like that, I always pick the good side. I know a lot of people are like, oh, cool, you get to play as the bad guys. But I'm like, no, I want to pick the light side. So I usually always like playing as them. Now, as I've gotten older, I kind of appreciate being able to see both sides of the story. But yeah, I would say that the hero side of it. Knuckles is usually my favorite character, though I would say the best levels are Sonic's in this one. Or Shadow's. They're stages.
Yeah, hands down, Sonic and Shadow. I mean, I'm always a sucker for the main character. That's just how I've always been. A lot of people like to find their favorite niche character within it, but I've always kind of flowed to the main guy. And to be fair, I really do think that Shadow and Sonic's levels are the best. They're the most fun, the best music, fast paced. They're really good.
That jungle level, I can't tell you how many times I played that one.
Oh yeah. You just feel like a beast. You're running so fast. You're jumping so far. You're landing on, doing all these crazy stunts. You really feel super cool doing it, and that's what I loved so much about it.
Yeah. As far as like my favorite, like I think I give a lot of favoritism to Knuckles because like when Knuckles introduced initially in Sonic, like he was a different play mechanic. He could climb walls, he could glide, and in a lot of ways he can dig now. I guess he kind of dug a little bit, like he can tear out walls and stuff with his knuckles sometimes. So like I really liked him going into Sonic Adventure 2 battle. But as far as mechanics, like you can still dig and fly around and stuff, that was cool. And so I would say initially I'd pick Knuckles, but I really had the most fun with running around like with Sonic and as far as multiplayer goes, for some reason, like I gravitate towards Amy. I like Amy's stuff. I don't know why.
She had she had more special moves in multiplayer. Like she was a little slower, but like you would get more of those if you get like 10 rings. You could do some kind of crazy move with her and like freeze time.
Yeah, and maybe that's why I really liked playing with her.
Yeah.
So, but I've been at that. This game kind of sparked my like for Amy as a character. I don't think they show her enough really. But then that also kind of like sparked like wanting more Sonic characters and experience them. Like that kind of is why I really like the chameleon.
SPO.
Yeah, SPO. I really like that. Like there isn't really a standalone thing where he's outside of that. And then in Sonic Mania they introduced a couple new characters too. I like just seeing the different play mechanics you can get from these different characters that they introduce, and I like that. And so, yeah, you really couldn't play as Amy much unless it was multiplayer. But
what's funny is in this game when they originally announced the Dreamcast version of it, going back a little bit more, is it was originally just going to be three playable characters, and it was Sonic, Eggman, and Knuckles. So you essentially got the same play styles, but it would have just been those three. I don't really know what made the change, but I'm kind of glad they went ahead and added the extra ones, even though they're kind of the same characters twice over for the most part. Not completely, but
one light, one dark. It makes sense.
Yeah. there was more personalities to bounce off of, so I think that worked out. But yeah, with this game, I feel like one thing that probably really stuck with me, not only was it one that a lot of people I was around was into, but I felt like it was unlike anything else that I was used to coming from a purely Nintendo fan for the most part perspective. Like, for one, I wasn't used to actual spoken words or like dialogue in cutscenes. And like Zelda and things like that, it was always just text.
Yeah.
So that was something new to me, and it felt almost like I was playing like a movie or something more than what I'd ever experienced. And the music, it had lyrics to it. It wasn't just all silent and you had to read text the whole time. I know that seems like an odd thing, but I feel like that alone actually added a lot to it for me. And it was like rock music, things like that. It wasn't just like orchestra or video gamey music. Not that that's bad. I'm just at the time period that really stuck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't get much into Shadow. That was like my friend John Hester's like favorite character, so I was determined I wasn't gonna like him because he always leaned towards the darker characters, and like I always like the light characters. So
yeah, same. That's one of those as an adult again. Though I look back and I'm like, okay, that was pretty interesting. Like I kind of felt the same on the whole side of things. Of course, I'm one of the few people, like I've said, that's kind of stuck with this series, even though it's not that great anymore. I even like the Shadow the Hedgehog game on the GameCube, so don't judge me.
I haven't played that one yet, but I have the hat, so I should own it someday and play it.
Yeah. Well,
it's got to be better than 2006 Sonic, so.
It is. I think so. So anyhow, yeah. So did you all spend much time with the Chow Garden portion of this game?
Not at all.
Yes. Not? I spent a lot of time.
No, it's boring.
Okay. I feel like it's harder for me to go back to now. Like I went back and played it some, and I feel like I've already put so much into it. It's hard to like. I feel like things have progressed more than what they were then. Like it's really simple.
The races are so slow now. It's like, come on, speed it up.
Yeah. It's a lot better than what it was in the first adventure. If you ever go back, I still don't quite understand the mechanics of the race in that one. Like it's kind of weird. It's hard to even describe. But yeah, like I said before, I spent a whole lot of time into that. And between me and my cousin and some friends and stuff, we were trading them and fighting them because you could put each other's memory cards in each of the GameCube slots.
Mm-hmm.
And you could race your Chow, or you could, do the karate and things like that.
Yep, we did that. Yep, me and John Hester did that all the time.
And if you had Sonic Advance, 1 or 2 or 3, or Pinball Party, I think there's maybe one other that I'm forgetting, maybe not. But you could transfer them to that game, just one at a time, and like carry them around. I don't know if you ever did that, but you could get, there's stats up from different things on there. You could play games with them, and there's also some exclusive like collars, like shiny eggs you could get. I remember you could transfer.
That was so much fun. I forgot about all those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of fleshing out that stuff, starting to unlock in my memory again. Like the upstairs and the downstairs, you could like go to the dark area, and it was kind of like an underworld type thing, and then you can go up to like a heaven area. That was pretty cool to
for the Hero Chow, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool to think about. Like, remember.
You could unlock toys. Like, there was a TV in one of the gardens. Like, if you would win enough races, and they would turn it on occasionally, or they'd ride that one rocking horse, and one had a stereo. You could teach them things. You could teach them how to play instruments and things like that. And it got pretty cool.
I wish they'd just release a game that was just all of that.
I felt like they could expand on it. And maybe make a little game or something out of it. I don't know why they haven't brought it back, but I don't understand a lot of the direction they've been taking with the Sonic series for a few years now. But
they do something different with Sonic, and they just kind of blew it out of proportion. And that's why Sonic Mania tried to bring it back to its roots, and people loved it because Sonic has gone so out there, with werewolves and swords and what have you.
Yeah, like this one it seems to be a pretty beloved one, like from granted, I'm just looking at like Twitter and things like that, and my own friends, and shoot, you guys, like, I feel like a lot of people played it, and a lot of people liked how it played, and then after that, they like never returned to the same sort of style in any way.
Mm-hmm. And Sonic right now is doing Olympic stuff, so.
Yeah, the last big one I guess was Forces. It's okay.
I never got into that one. I just heard it was not the greatest, so. But then I heard
Nah.
like a lot of kids enjoyed it, so I don't know what to go off of that because, maybe it would be really enjoyable for me because I tend to like some games that kids find fun, but.
I feel like they've been okay for years now. Like okay,
It's okay.
Like this was one of those that will always stand out for me. This and the first adventure, I liked it a good bit. I like this one a little more, but
Sonic Adventure 3?
yeah, I wish. But
one thing that drew a lot of criticism for this game was the glitches in it. I don't know if you guys ran across any glitches. I can tell you time and time again I've fallen through stages and gotten stuck places and had to restart the game. So it was not without its faults. Sometimes too much stuff was going on the screen and the game just couldn't keep up. I don't know if that's a problem that's in later versions. Like you've played it on Xbox One, so you'd know more than I would about if the glitches are still there and having problems and stuff. But
I feel like it has some emulating. I don't know if I'm using the right term here, but emulation problems on the Xbox version. Some things upscaled and things like that. It just wasn't made for that. So yeah, some of that carries over.
Okay.
I know you could break out of the skybox, so to speak, or the force field, like in the Chow Garden with Sonic. I used to do that. And you could float around out there. There was a multiplayer level with Metal Sonic on the Green Forest. I remember if you turned on his shield as like the second player, you'd fly down the hill and then just fall indefinitely through the map. So I used to do that. So yeah, we found a few here and there. I can't remember anything else off the top of my head, but that was particularly with the GameCube version of it.
Man, we're gonna have so much fun alone just picking the soundtrack for this episode. So many good ones.
Yeah, I actually had I still do somewhere, the CD for this game.
Oh yeah, I've got it in my iTunes library and listen to it every once in a while.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if I'd call it like the greatest music, but it's still kind of special to me, and I still get a kick out of it every once in a while.
That's like my feel good thing. I'll go to and listen to that opening track in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I'm like driving and I need something to just lift my spirits. I'll listen to that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like if you haven't played it, I don't know if it would hit you the same way. Like I don't know if I'd recommend it to just anybody.
Mm-hmm. And it's not. Now, would I love to see an HD remake of this? Yes, please. Like, I'd love to feel that rush again and have it look great. It doesn't look bad, I would say.
Nah.
The textures and the levels and stuff look bad. Especially the jungle area mainly is what I'm referring to. Like, it's awful.
Yeah.
But
It's showing its age in some ways, but it's not terrible. Maybe I'm just old and can look past it, but
Cool. Anything else you guys want to add to this game before we wrap it up and put a bow on it?
Well, Ryan, you got anything?
I think we covered it pretty well. The last boss was a lot of fun. I had some instances where I couldn't get it to work. Like I got stuck, and so I had to start it over again. Trying to beat it the first time, I could not navigate very well. I couldn't figure out the flying mechanic in the final boss fight. But once you get it and you hit the right spots and stuff, which how weird is that? You have to hit like giant boils on this creature. But just going Super Saiyan Sonic or Chaos Sonic or whatever you want to call him, it's really cool.
Super Sonic. Yeah,
Super Sonic. Definitely worth it. And to see another character that go that way as well with Shadow, it's like, oh, there's another character that can do it now. I think in more recent times some others have gone super as well. But it's really cool to have that experience, and they capped off the game so well. But they packed so many features with multiplayer and the Chow Garden. It's just a epic game. It's a really, really big, a lot of stuff to do game, a lot of stuff to unlock, a lot of stuff to find, like alternate the home menu, like you can have alternate screens, alternate backgrounds you can unlock as you play through the story and things. A lot of little things that you can do in this game, and the functionality connecting to a Game Boy Advance, they've outdid themselves in making this game, and I can look over the glitches and stuff because of how good of a game it is. There's a lot of games that are, really, really like harped on. Oh, these have terrible glitches. They're awful games, but yet they're like some of the best-selling games out there. And I feel like Sonic's a really great game, despite its flaws.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep us going too long, but before I forget to ask, actually, did you all have any thoughts on the story for it or the way that was all handled?
The story intertwining.
The direction of it.
Good.
I don't remember the direction of the story, to be honest.
There's a lot of mystery at first. Sonic is talking with the president, and there's a lot of like Dr. Robotnik up to his old thing.
What?
Was he talking to the president of the United States?
Yeah.
About halfway through the story, yes. You have to catch up with him to intercept a call that Eggman's making to him to find where Eggman is,
right.
basically. Yeah.
At first, it's shrouded in mystery.
That's so funny. President Bush back then, he's contacting President Bush.
If anybody, it kind of looks like him. Kind of not really anybody, but yeah.
George W. Oh, it's really going with that guy.
The whole back and forth, like Faker. You're just a copy of Sonic, and Sonic being framed because there's a hedgehog that's doing all these bad things. And then just solving that mystery was great in the beginning, and then it gets a lot deeper with getting behind what all is going on with Shadow, and finding out like he's got a pretty tragic story, and a tragic ending for him. Well, I say ending, but he continues to, he survives. But you never really know that if you don't play
Heroes or anything after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cheesy, especially looking back. I still love it. And the Shadow in particular is probably the biggest part of the story, the biggest character. He pretty much does all that he does because he misremembers a promise he made 50 years ago. And then by the end of it, Amy accidentally kind of helps him remember, that wasn't supposed to be revenge. I was supposed to help them after everything already goes down. So it's kind of funny thinking back of it that way.
Wow. Communication's key, everybody. That's right there. Communication's key.
It was a little unclear. And at the beginning, the military thought Shadow was Sonic because they're not different colors, apparently.
Yeah.
So it's all right though. Just you gotta overlook it. If you can just enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really fun. Besides that, so.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I would probably make fun of some other story if they did that, but it's like don't mess with my childhood. Like it's fine the way it is.
Well, at the end of the day, it's better than Crash Bandicoot. So. All right. Ryan, why don't you do our due diligence, brother, and round this thing out?
Sure thing, man. You can find us over on our home site at thenintendovillage.com/Nintendo Nostalgia. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, and also on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook at Nintendo NOS, on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS, on our Instagram at Nintendo NOSIN, and you can shoot us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com. Guys, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Later.
Bye-bye.
Slipping down.